Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin. Thank you all for attending. My name is John Joas. I've been a resident of Rio Verde Foothills since 2006 and have been involved in the search for water solutions since 2018. Got it. I got it.
There you go. Thanks.
I've been involved in the search for a water solution since 2018, and I am a well owner. First, I would like to thank Amanda and Chris from Raining Grace Ranch for offering this beautiful facility for our meeting. And I'd like to take a moment to let them speak about their program here.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Raining Grace Ranch. Some of you have probably been here before and some have not. This is Christopher and I'm Amanda. I just want to cover a couple of housekeeping things. There is a trash can right there if anybody needs to throw anything away. And then we do have bathrooms that are right at this 3-foot gate entrance across the way right here. There is a key. Well, I think we're managing the keys because the bathrooms are kind of crazy locking. So when you go in, just make sure you don't lock it as you come back out because otherwise it creates a little bit of a delay if you have to go. And then, Christopher, do you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, I have to grab my own mic because trying to get it from Amanda is always a real trick. So, we've been out in Rio Verde for a little over 12 years, and can I tell you, we just love it out here. Probably about as much as y'all do, and we've seen the change ourselves. We're just grateful that we get to be in a community with the folks like yourselves that are out here tonight. Thank you for coming out to the ranch. We love sharing the ranch with the community. Raining Grace Ranch is the largest equine therapy program in the state of Arizona. And when I say that, it's because we have 80 head of horses. Nobody has that many horses.
Nobody is that stupid.
Yes. We went off our medication and this thing happened. We have about 200 volunteers that run the ranch. We have an incredible team. Everything you see at this ranch that you might think is cool, it's not because Amanda and I are, it's because our team is absolutely amazing. Is there anybody here that's a Raining Grace Ranch volunteer? Can you raise your hand? I'm just curious. Wow, okay. We need to get more of you guys out here. So anyways, we don't want to suck up your meeting. You got a lot to cover tonight, but we did want you to know that we absolutely love it out here. We're grateful to have you here at the ranch tonight. And Amanda and I just feel blessed to even get to be in Rio Verde. And we're looking forward to sharing some more with you. I know you got a lot to get done. Housekeeping, you've already covered the bathrooms. Be real safe driving out. We've had people, I know it's not lit up real well. We've had people drive through plants and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Just try to really watch when you're leaving to not get off the pass. So, all right, I think is there anything we're missing?
Your facility.
The facility?
You have some brochures in the back.
Oh. We have, if anybody's interested in what we do at the ranch, we have some brochures on your way back out. Basically, we kind of liken ourselves to big brothers, big sisters with horses and at-risk youth. So that's what we do here at the ranch. We take in the horses that come in over owner surrender, etc., and then we pair them with kids. And so that's what our program is. So
So all of our horses are rescued horses. We rehabilitate them and we work with the kiddos. If the horses don't do well working with the kids, we find a new home for them. This is the place you want to land if you're a horse with some struggles, for sure. So we do psychotherapy, we do coaching, and we do mentorship, which was what Amanda was referring to. So the ranch has got a pretty full plate. We've got a huge first responder program that we are launching, working with folks that are veterans, law enforcement, fire, but we are just having a great time getting to watch people get unstuck, find their purpose in life, and get out and do stuff that makes their heart beat. So I think without further ado, we're going to turn it over to y'all, and we just hope you guys have an awesome evening getting all this worked out. We're excited to see some real positive change.
Thank you. All right, real quick, now I'd like to introduce Jennifer Simpson, who's also been working with me for the past several years on this very important issue. Jennifer.
Can you all hear me? Am I loud enough? Can you hear me now? Sorta? How about that? Okay. I'm Jennifer Simpson. My cohort, Karen Nabity, is unavailable tonight. She wasn't able to attend for reasons unknown. But I'm going to introduce the team that's sitting up here first. We have Jamie Phillips, who is a proposed board member of the proposed district. John Joes, who introduced himself a minute ago. Myself, Jennifer Simpson, who is also a proposed board member. I'm sorry, I'm slurring my words here. And Meredith DeAngelis, who is our PR person. And to her left is Jeff Crockett, our attorney. And to his left is John Kavanagh, our state House representative. And then to his left is John Hornewer, Rio Verde Water. A couple of house rules that we want to, kind of the decorum here. I just want to say we all want to respect each other and listen to each other's opinions. Keep it calm, keep it cool. We do have a sheriff on site somewhere. I don't think I've seen him, but he is here. If necessary, he's here. Just in case. We're not going to be unruly. We're going to listen to each other and just respect each other's opinions. And this is private property, remember, you can be removed by that sheriff. The last thing I want to mention is we're all in this together. And from then, I'm going to have John talk about the background first, so I'll introduce John again.
Okay. For the benefit of those residents who are just becoming aware of the water situation, and I'm sure that most of you are already aware, but for their benefit, I'd like to outline a brief overview. The Foothills community is a mix of homes on wells and those who are reliant on hauled water. As drought conditions have persisted for decades, water has become a dwindling resource. And for over 20 years, the city of Scottsdale has provided access to water for hauling to non-Scottsdale residents. Residents have been warned in writing by both Maricopa County and City of Scottsdale that if the drought conditions worsen, the city would no longer be able to sell them water for our homes. All water haulers, both commercial and private, have been advised by City of Scottsdale that effective December 31st, 2022, they will no longer be able to haul water outside Scottsdale city boundaries. Scottsdale has been a great neighbor to us. However, they are legally obligated to abide by the drought management plan that has been implemented, and once we reach these predetermined benchmarks. Now it is incumbent upon us to secure an alternate outside source of water to make up for the 48 million gallons a year that is currently being trucked into our community. Our neighbors dependent on hauled water, approximately 1/3 of the residents, could face not having water for their homes in less than 1 year from today. Our neighbors with wells may also risk negative impact, as wells, such as mine, are going dry, and our backup, the hauled water, will no longer be an option if we don't come up with a plan. Over the past 4+ years, a small group of residents have combed through statutes, attended meetings, seminars, evaluated options, and met with various public officials to find those viable options and weigh the pros and cons of each to find the most suitable solution for our entire community. I would now like to turn this over back to Jennifer to further outline the status of our situation and our plan moving forward.
Thanks, John. I just want to mention a couple other housekeeping issues. We will be doing our informational session up in the beginning of this meeting, and all questions, I want you all to ask, and as many questions as you need to ask, but we are going to save that to the last hour of the meeting. And also, if anybody already knows they want to sign the petition, our volunteers in the back, Sandy, Linda, they're raising their hands back there. They're ready to go ahead and let you sign up if you want to go ahead and do that and exit the meeting, because we have that happen quite often. I'm going to talk about the status of where we are right now, and then I will talk about the plan. Give me 1 second here. So, we are a small group of individuals who have been working since 2016, and we found out recently since 2014 that this has been an issue ongoing, and we have emails dating back from 2014 from Steve Chukri and ADWR that a domestic water improvement district has been talked about. We actually researched all the options out there. The co-ops, the private utilities, the Dwids, any possible option. And we felt that this was the best option for our community. We have a community of 2,100 homes that 2/3 of them have good water, and about 1/3 of us don't have good water. I personally have a shared well, and I've been hauling water for 18 years. It didn't sound feasible to me to drill another well or to repair my well for $30,000 when I could haul water. It would take me 20 or 30 years to pay that off, right? So there's reasons for that. It's not just a bunch of people moving out here and knowing that they don't have water. It is a combination of lots of different things. Our plan is to do exactly what we're doing today. We don't want to interrupt anybody who has a well. We don't want to take your well. We don't want your property. We are literally going to build a standpipe district only, no infrastructure. We will be getting water outside of our area, no drilling a well. So this aquifer is already diminishing, and more wells are being drilled all the time. More straws, less water. So we are buying water that is outside of our community, bringing it in through the Cap Canal and having Scottsdale process it. We do not intend on drilling a well, ever. I would like to hear comments about that, I guess, later. But we want to bring in outside water and have Scottsdale process it for us. And I'm sorry, we got lost a little bit here. So currently, the status of our petition is we submitted our petition in February 2021, and in the last 2 months, we've held like six or seven community meetings and mailed out mailers to everybody in the community, and it costs us quite a bit of money. So 2,000 homeowners or property owners got mailers, and I have to tell you, I've gotten calls from Israel, people that have property that are invested out here. So we've tried to notify everybody. We've notified realtors. If realtors are here, raise your hand. We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming. So we've tried to notify everyone out here to get the information and make your own decision. We will be, Scottsdale's cutoff date, if anybody doesn't know that already, is December 31st, 2022. We currently have over 500 people, parcels, I should say parcel owners, who have signed the petition to join the district. And I should say petition to establish the district, because petitions in general are kind of like a, I support this thing. But this petition is specifically designed to say, I want to be in the district, and I'm agreeing to incur costs. I'm agreeing to do whatever is necessary to bring water to my property. We currently are accepting petition signatures until we are placed back on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors agenda. And a little history about that item is we submitted it back in February of 2021. And we had our first hearing in April. We followed up with a hearing in May, another one in June, and another one in August. And probably around May, I guess, was the time frame that our current supervisor at the time was Supervisor Steve Chukri. He came to the community and said, we, the county, would like to find an alternative to the district that does what the district does without having to create the district. And we, as the volunteers for the district said, yay, go ahead and do that. Please, go ahead and we'll stop what we're doing. But what we found was we're still at the point where they've investigated this and we don't have a solution. We don't have a viable solution from them nor any other solution. Our solution, the Domestic Water Improvement District, is the only one that's completely a plan and completely viable on the table. There are other, the solutions that the county we're talking about are parts of a solution, but not a whole solution. They have not presented one. And just to say that we invited our current supervisor, Mr. Thomas Galvin, and he had a family issue to deal with tonight, so he could not be here. If you all wonder where he's at. So we had continuing hearings based upon Mr. Chukri looking for another viable solution. At the August hearing, which was our last hearing, he extended this issue indefinitely. And he told his board members in the hearing at the time, I will give you that date, which is to be determined. He resigned September 21st. Not because of the district, but he resigned regardless. And October rolled around and City of Scottsdale put out their notification to account holders as well as the public press release letting everyone know their actual cutoff, firm, no holds barred cutoff date, which is December 31st, 2022. We have asked them if there's any way for that to be extended. There is not. So we're looking at a really, and in fact, their drought management plan states that at a Tier 1 declaration, which was declared August of 2021 by the Bureau of Reclamation, their drought management plan states that they will cease water hauling to any non-residents of Scottsdale at the Tier 1 declaration when it goes into effect, which it goes into effect January 1, which it went into effect already January 1. But they were good neighbors and they have extended that for another year. In order for us to have interim water while we're waiting for our water supply, we need to be an entity, and the entity we're proposing is a Domestic Water Improvement District, but we need to be an entity which needs to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. That's the first step. So an entity needs to exist. The next thing is we need to be in negotiations for our water source, the canal, the processing through Scottsdale, and then that has to go into works. And then we also have to have an interim agreement to serve water for the 2 to 3 years while we're working on that IGA with all those other entities. This all, with the cutoff date of December 31st, we don't really have that much time. We have till July. City of Scottsdale orders their water and has restrictions based on the Bureau of Reclamation's recommendations in August. They order their water at the September 1st. So we have to have all of this in place by July in order to let them know what our interim water supply needs to be. We don't have until December. We can't wait 11 months from now. So I'd like to go into more detail about what a Dwid is. A Dwid is a county improvement district that is formed for the purpose of constructing or improving a domestic water delivery system or purchasing an existing domestic water delivery system. The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors must approve the Dwid and will oversee its operation managed by an elected board of residents with the Dwid boundaries. Within the Dwid boundaries, I'm sorry. The members of the Dwid will be elected. The first, I want to say, they'll be elected board members, but the initial board members are in the petition and are appointed by the Board of Supervisors. And those thereafter are elected board members, which have to be members of the Dwid, by the way. There will be 5 elected board members serving this non-paid role. One of the things that a lot of people say is that we're in this for the money. we've actually put in a lot of our own money. We are making $0. The maximum, according to statute, that we can make is $75 per board meeting, per board member, and the maximum meetings we can have per month to be paid for is 4 meetings per month. I think it was calculated at one time to be like $9,000 shared between 5 people. So that's as much as we can make. If you want to think that we're going to make a salary or make a profit off this in any way, personally or within the district, you're mistaken. So it's a totally volunteer role. If anybody wants to volunteer to be the next elected board, please come forward and let us know. The petitioners of the Dwid are urgently requesting the Board of Supervisors recognize that the situation for the Rio Verde foothills is now critical and to place the Dwid on the petition or on the agenda. This is why we're holding this meeting. I don't know how many of you are proponents of the Dwid and how many of you are against the Dwid. I think we have a big mix of both. But if you want a water source and you want to be able to have water after January of next year, we need to be on the agenda. We need a vote, period. And I think I can safely say that we're willing to go to court for this. We don't have any of the other viable options that have been presented. If there are other viable options, they've not been presented to us. And if they've been presented to the county has not presented them to us. So for the Dwid to obtain water to serve to the residents, no, I've already read that part. Yeah. So I'm going to go into the main water source, the petitioners of the Dwid. The main water source being considered, the petitioners of the Dwid, will start accepting contracts for water beginning in 2022. And this water is out in Harquahala Valley. If some of you don't know anything about this, the water is out in Harquahala, I'm sorry, I keep slurring my words. Harquahala Valley, and it is off of I-10 on your way to California, kind of the Tonopah area. And we will be pulling water that has been recharged into the ground out of a well. And EPCOR, by the way, if anybody knows this, is the company that will be putting the infrastructure for this project. But that's all they can do at this point. They cannot purchase this water. Anybody thinks that EPCOR can be the solution at this point. We will be pulling water out of the ground. It will be processed and put into the Cap Canal, and then the Cap Canal will bring that water to Scottsdale, and Scottsdale will process it for us. And from there, we will have to create a water line to a future fill station. Scottsdale will let us use their fill station on the interim basis until we then build our fill station. They are going to require that of us. They will not let us use their fill station forever. But they will work with us on the time factor because they know that there's a couple of developments that are being put in down the line, and we think there's at least 2 miles of pipeline. And I think a lot of times people ask us, you already know where the district is going to put their fill station. We do not. We keep telling people we do not. There are lots of parcels that we look at, but until we get approved, it's no sense in us looking because prices change, daily, weekly for real estate. So we do not know where that fill station is going to be, but as close to the Scottsdale pipeline as it can be is where we're going to put it, just so you all know. It's not going to be in the middle of Rio Verde next to your house, probably. I mean, it's not likely that it's going to be next to your house. We're going to try to put it as close to Scottsdale as possible because that's less money. Right now, or about a year ago, we were told by the engineers of Scottsdale it costs about $1 million a mile to put in a pipeline. And in fact, that is part of our cost estimate. We've done cost estimates for this, and I'll just go right into that now since I mentioned it. The cost estimates for our Dwid include the purchase of the water, the transportation of the water, the processing of the water, the pipeline to connect to Scottsdale, the fill station, and all of that included, we've estimated an initial establishment fee of $1,000, and then an annual fee of about $192, and that works out to, I think, about $16 a month. And the cost of water will be $10 per 1,000 gallons. These are all cost estimates. Once we actually form and are approved, We will have an engineer, and actually we have an engineer here. Where are you, James? There you are. We have an engineer, and I don't know, have you finished those preliminaries yet?
Yeah.
Okay, we might go back to you later. We have some Q&A later. This is not what James is doing for us now, is not a full-fledged cost estimate. Those cost $30,000 to $50,000, and we're a volunteer organization with donations, and we don't have that kind of money to present right now to get those kinds of cost estimates. So what we've done is cost estimates based upon information that we've gathered from our water source, from other engineers, cost estimates for other fill stations and metering systems, and we've put it all together all the way down to buying paper for administrative costs for the next 5 years. And the $10 per 1,000 gallons, I want to just make the comparison. Scottsdale charges $6.40 per 1,000 gallons right now, and that seems like a big difference, dollar for dollar. But I think team members have gone through and kind of done a rough estimate of the price increase. And I know a lot of people don't get 3,000 gallons, but I get more than 3,000 gallons. But this was the estimate that they did. 3,000 gallons per month. If you get 3,000 gallons per month, your bill will go up about $10 with that cost difference. But I also want to mention that if anybody's familiar, please raise your hand if you're familiar with Desert Hills and New River and the fill station that they have for from EPCOR. Anybody familiar with that? Nobody? Just our engineer. Anyway, Desert Hills and New River, they have a fill station that is created by EPCOR because Phoenix was going to cut them off. That fill station is out there, and it's a temporary fill station, non-dedicated to any parcel. It's just there for people to purchase, just like we do from Scottsdale right now. Their cost per 1,000 gallons, and these costs are all prior to any water delivery. Their cost is $10.21 per 1,000 gallons. It doesn't include purchasing water outside. They actually purchase water. They have water out of a well on a leased piece of land. So it doesn't include any of the other costs that we're including. So we plan on buying, our current purchase, our current talk is to buy 200 acre feet of water. And if nobody knows, Engineer James, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 325,581 gallons of water per acre foot. Okay, so we plan on buying 200 acre feet of water, and the current use, according to the city of Scottsdale and the numbers that we've received from our water haulers in Scottsdale, we use about 400,000 gallons, no, 147, so roughly 150,000 gallons, or 150 acre feet of water per year. And that rounds out to about 48 million gallons per year that we're buying from the city of Scottsdale. Just a side note, if we were to drill a well, what kind of detriment would that be? That would be a huge, big, fat straw coming out of here. I just want to add that in there. So we plan on buying water outside of here, just like we're bringing it in from Scottsdale right now. And that 200 acre feet will include, so if we use about 150 acre feet, and we've guesstimated that 50 acre feet will feed about 200 homes, that we would have enough surplus water to feed non-members. In addition to that, any landowners, and we have a ton of them out of the 520 that have signed, or 520 plus that have signed the petition, we have a ton of them that are landowners, investors who have called from not only all over the state, all over the country. We have international investors that have property out here that have signed the petition. Those are raw landowners. They're joining the petition. They're going to pay their annual fee. They're going to pay their establishment fee, and they're not using water. So we will have that water as well as the extra 50 acre feet of water. So not only can we provide water for 200 extra homes in the beginning, and if we have more than the 520 that have signed up now, we can always order more water in the beginning, you guys. But we cannot buy water for 2,100 homes. It's just not feasible for us. So we cannot feed the whole community. One more note on that. If you join the district and you want to drill a well at a future point, we're not going to stop you from doing anything. If you have we have a lot of well owners. And is there any well owners who have signed the petition just for insurance purposes? Please raise your hand. Oh, we have about 5 or 6 of you that have raised your hand, willing to raise your hand. So I'm going to mention also what contiguous and non-contiguous definitions are. Non-contiguous simply means that properties don't touch. That's all that it is. Simple, basic, non-contiguous. Contiguous means the entire area. There has been talk of a possible EPCOR coming in and maybe the county buying water and an EPCOR servicing us. Is it a viable option? Yeah, but it's a temporary option unless EPCOR decides to do a CCNN. What is a CCNN? A Certificate of Convenience and Necessity. There is no non-contiguous Certificate of Convenience and Necessity. It is contiguous. If an EPCOR comes in and we require them to dedicate it to our properties, they will force everybody in. We're doing it non-contiguously, meaning those who don't want to join are not going to be taxed, they will not be charged, they will not be affected in any way, shape, or form. The district will include only those owners who sign the petition. We're not interested in the temporary 15 to 20 years. Scenario is, that has been, it has not even been proposed, it's just been talked about. That EPCOR comes in and builds a standpipe for a 15 or 20 year period. Water is expensive right now. And it's just gonna get more expensive. Even our water source that we're talking to is having board meetings about raising their prices of water. So if we don't get in on the beginning, we're gonna pay more. So the temporary solution, if an EPCOR comes in, puts in a standpipe, we have temporary water that's not dedicated, by the way. What do we do in 15 or 20 years? Those of you who are on hauled water and you rely upon that, what are you gonna do? And how much is that water gonna cost? Just asking those questions, just food for thought. The district dedicates water to your property and we plan on buying water for 99 years. I don't know, how many developers are here? If you wanna be bold and raise your hand. Anyway, we are buying 99 years. We can buy from the water source that we plan on getting water from. We can buy as much water as we want for as long as we want. And we can have a contract for 200 years if we wanted it. We purposely want to buy water for 99 years. Why is that? Well, there's such a thing as a certificate of assured water supply. And there's about 6 or 7 factors required to get that certificate. One of them is a 100-year water supply necessary. If we have 99 years worth of water, guess what? No big developer can come in and build a trilogy. They cannot use our water to build a trilogy. We just ixnay that option altogether. So it's for the community, only for the community. I just want to mention too that Fannie Mae guidelines are out there, they exist, and they were updated in November of 2021. They state that you need a legally dedicated long-term source of water. Fannie Mae funds are a large part of our conventional mortgages out here, which are the primary type of mortgages in our area, and they require a legally dedicated source of water for purchasing, selling, or refinancing homes. It maybe hasn't been an issue, but with all of these Tier 1 declarations that are happening, it will become an issue. If you don't have water for your property, you may not be able to refinance it. And there are banks that probably will loan, but anything that's backed by Fannie Mae, I can tell you my loan isn't through Fannie Mae, but I can tell you it's backed by Fannie Mae. If you dig down into the paperwork, it's backed by Fannie Mae. And they do back conventional loans. The solution, the proposed petitioners of the Dwid could take up to 2 years before residents receive water for hauling. The city of Scottsdale has stated that if the Dwid is approved, an intergovernmental agreement could be started so that we can get interim water. And with that, I think I've mentioned pretty much everything within our current status and the plan. Now I'm going to turn it over to Meredith, and she's going to talk about the timeline.
Thank you. So I'm Meredith DeAngelis. As Jen mentioned, I started doing the PR for our water situation out here pretty much right when I saw the Scottsdale press release. So really, before that, we signed up for the Dwid because John told us that's what we should do to keep our water. We've been working with John for years since we've been out here, so we knew that was the right thing to do. And then when I saw the press release, I thought, oh my gosh, this can't happen to us. We have to all stand up and have our voices heard, and the best way to do that is to do mailers and make sure everybody understands what's going on, because we meet people all the time who have moved in homes and have no idea, or like me, unless my water hauler told me, I did not know what was going on out here. So I really felt like it was critical for us to share with you all and to do mailers and to get as much news as we possibly can, because this is critical. And as you look at the plan right now, the drought is real. I mean, you hear it on the news all the time that everybody's talking about Colorado and California and all the restrictions that we're gonna have. And as this gets, you know, the scarcity of water, any type of quick solution is not gonna work for us. And we've got this solid date that's happening whether we like it or not. And so for me, you know, what they've worked on and what they've shared is a solid plan. They have engineers, they have estimates on costs, and have thought through every single thing. So really, at this point, what I think everybody needs to do is come together and get the support of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to get this secure and get this plan going. We can't wait any longer. You know, water supplies are diminishing, there's competition for it, acquisition costs are going up, interest rates are going up, we hear this all the time on the news, and Scottsdale's cutoff date keeps getting closer and closer, and that's why I really thought it was critical to make sure everybody's aware of what's going on. The district is the only viable option that has a solid plan that does meet those City of Scottsdale's deadline and partners with City of Scottsdale so we can make sure we have water. So just from my standpoint, you know, the most that we can do to stand together as a community and have our voices heard and make sure that, you know, our government officials know what's going on. And if we do have to use media to do that, it's the best option to get that pressure that we need so that we have that critical resource for our families, for our animals, for all of us that, you know, plan to live out here for a long time. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to open it up for questions. If you do have questions, we want everybody to be able to hear. So we do have microphones where, oh, did I miss? Hang on, I went too fast. Am I back to you? Hang on. Jen's got a little bit more.
How many people, I want to ask those who are volunteers or donors, I'm going to meld those both together. Anybody who has volunteered in any way, volunteers or have made donations of any kind, please stand up. Please, please, please. If you've done that, please stand up. Anybody who's volunteered or donated money in any way, please stand up. Anybody who is a supporter of the district, please stand up. Anybody who has signed the petition, please stand up. Anybody who is going to be signing the petition, please stand up. We really appreciate every single one of you, and we really, really appreciate all of your support. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause, everybody. I am going to now introduce John Kavanagh, Representative John Kavanagh, our House Representative, District 23. Thank you, John.
Thank you, and obviously the ranch didn't inform me that they relaxed the dress code. So. No, I came straight from the Capitol. Let me explain where I fit into this overall situation. You know, I've been the state representative for 14 years, you know, which means basically I've been elected or re-elected 7 times. I like to think that that's the case because I'm accessible to my constituents. The groups on both sides of this issue contacted me. I immediately met with them multiple times. In fact, I meet with anybody, even if they're not my constituent, because I think that's part of my job. I also think I get reelected because I don't BS people. I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, I could be a politician, I could come here, I could tell you what I thought the majority of the people in the room want to hear, even if it wouldn't come true, and then just leave and pray that you won't discover that I conned you until after the next election. But I don't do that either. Right? So my role is not to decide whether you should have a Dwid or no Dwid or this or that. That's not my job. I live close by in Fountain Hills, but I don't live here, so it's not my decision. My job is to help you in numerous ways. One way is I can get good legal information from our legislative attorneys who wrote these laws, or if there's real controversy over what the law says, I can request as a legislator an opinion from the state attorney general. And an opinion from the attorney general is about as close as you're going to get to a judge ruling that something is legal and constitutional. I can also try to get the law changed if you come to a decision that requires modification of state law. Although I will forewarn you that I'm pretty good at passing laws. Me and amazingly the representative who deals on the committee that deals with water get the most bills signed by the governor each year because I've been there a long time. I'm experienced. People know me. They trust me, and I don't overreach. So I can help you with legal advice. I can draft a bill for you, but I can't resolve this because I am not at the level of government that does that. The level of government that is going to resolve this is the Board of County Supervisors. Unfortunately, I have no idea what they're doing because I cannot get a word into the new supervisor, Galvin. When this first started, I was able to communicate frequently and met frequently with Steve Chukri on this issue. He resigned, not because of this, as was said, but he resigned suddenly because of an incident that occurred suddenly. And I had a telephone appointment to talk to the new supervisor, Galvin, about this issue, because I don't know what laws to think about. I don't know what questions to ask our attorneys. I don't know how to prime legislators in key committees if I don't know what they're doing. And I had a phone appointment with him 2 weeks ago, and he canceled. And my assistant said, well, when can we reschedule? He said, I'll call Representative Kavanagh. I didn't hear from him. We continuously called his office saying, I need to speak to you before this meeting. Yesterday, I saw a lobbyist who's a personal friend of his, and I said, I got to speak to this guy. The lobbyist said, I'll call him and give him your cell. He never called. I have no idea what the County Board of Supervisors is doing. I tried to get through last week to the supervising county supervisor, and I got an answer back that he doesn't represent this area. And I had my assistant call back and say, tell him I'm calling him as the head of the supervisors. Still no answer. So, I mean, look, I was born and raised in New York City. When I was there, I was quite a cynic, as all New Yorkers are. Coming to this beautiful area, I weaned myself down to a skeptic. But I'm going to tell you something. On this issue about the supervisors, I'd be worried, because I don't think they're engaged, and I don't think they want to deal with this. And frankly, they are the only people who can resolve this one way or the other. So let me get into the one resolution as a supervisor is form the Dwid. If you wind up with a compromise, because one of the big concerns is the Dwid drilling local wells and sucking out of the aquifer and jeopardizing existing wells, and I understand that concern. I probably have a decent chance of amending state law to have a special Dwid which can only transport and truck water and not lay any pipes or do anything like that. That's probably doable. I don't think that would threaten and jeopardize the water interest. But water legislation is extremely difficult. The reason why you're in this situation is because in Arizona there's more land than there is water for the people there. Everybody is protective of their water. Nobody trusts anybody else because they're afraid they're going to steal their water, and it's next to impossible to get regulations because rural interests have big land and they want to subdivide and make money selling their land, and they want to be able to subdivide and give their land to their kids. That's why in this area you have wildcat subdivisions which fuel this problem. People, even though we are in an active management area where everybody's supposed to have a 100-year water supply assurance before they can build a house, it doesn't apply to a minor subdivision where you only cut the property up into 5 parcels. You don't have to have a 100-year water supply for that. And if that's not bad enough, people will take a big chunk, they'll do 4 small parcels, 1 big one, and then the next year they'll have their wife or somebody else who owns that 1 big parcel subdivided again, and the law is such that the counties can't stop them before the house is built, and then they can't make the house go away. By the way, I have introduced a bill that will give a little bit more teeth to that, but the best I could do was them signing an affidavit, which would make it, if they did do something like that, would make them subject to prosecution. And that's the best I could do, because the water interests control the committees that control the bills. It's a tough situation. So, what can you do? Well, you can do the Dwid, it can be modified. There's another outside possibility of getting the EPCOR Water Company to get the Corporation Commission to expand their service area, to put you in their service area. But then I would have to do a little law modification to allow water to be wheeled from elsewhere in there. That's pretty complicated. I mean, it could theoretically be done. But again, the bottom line is it's up to you. People who were opposed to it approached me like 2 days ago, and they said, how about setting up a private nonprofit to get the money and the members, and then they could make the deal to wheel the water. I called the Arizona Department of Water Resources. I got somebody came back to me this morning. They said only a governmental entity can go into a contract to wheel water from one area to the other. So, and I don't think I could change that law, because to allow private companies to wheel water would terrify the rural interests that are protecting their water. So that's kind of a tough road. But anyway, like I said, I'm not here to say what you should do, but whatever you decide with your supervisors, probably, if it needs a law change, I can do that, and I can get you legal decisions and legal advice. I would say that what's happening here, a lot of people are watching very closely. I've spoken to representatives from the realtors and the builders, and they're both really concerned because word is spreading. Don't buy land in the Rio Verde foothills. Don't buy a house in the Rio Verde foothills, because those wells are drying up and there may be no water for people. And if that happens, aside from stopping builders and new homes, everyone's home prices are going to plummet. Because nobody's going to want to buy in an area where the next day they think their well will go dry. So I think you really need to get some solution here. Because everyone's watching, and this is not, you're the first, really. There's another community in the West Valley that has the same problem people are worrying about, and this is going to be all over Pinal County pretty soon, because they're really sucking their aquifers dry. So, I hope you're familiar with the term "don't shoot the messenger," but I want to be honest with you and tell you just what the situation is. I'll do everything I possibly can legislatively and legal opinion-wise for you, but ultimately, you've got to, as a community, get together and get some resolution. And you better really start calling the Supervisor Galvin's office and say, you better get down here and talk to us. Because I saw a question and answer sheet that the supervisors mailed out, and what are you doing? They said, we are exploring multiple avenues of solutions or something like that, yet they didn't mention one of them. And I can only think of 2, and one of those 2 is a real stretch. So I don't know what they're talking about, but you need to put them on the spot and make them do their job. But whatever you do, I'll be there to do whatever I can to help within the limitations of my capacity. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanagh. I am going to introduce John Hornewer now, one of the water haulers, to give a little bit of information.
Hi, my name is John Hornewer. I'm with Rio Verde Water. The reason I'm doing this, I've been accused of doing this for personal motives. The reason I'm doing this is because I lived through the pain when Phoenix cut off New River and Desert Hills. It's real, okay? I'm glad we're past the point of Scottsdale will never cut us off. I'm glad we're past the point if we're even in a Dwid or in a drought. It's clear where we're at and what's happening. Those communities, as Jennifer mentioned, they're on a temporary ceasefire, I guess. When Phoenix cut them off, it was all-out war. They were looking at the Dwid, they were looking at incorporation, all kinds of different things. And then EPCOR stepped up. That was the easiest option, so everybody at the time said, yeah, let's do that. It's a no-brainer. Well, all they did was kick the can down the road. For us here in particular, as a water hauler, what I have to emphasize is when Scottsdale cuts us off, there is no chance that water haulers are going to come in and save this community. Okay, so that's been touted as a solution. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. It is impossible. So if we eliminate water haulers coming in, what really is our options? We have two options. One, continue as we have been for all these years, importing water, bringing it into our community and helping our aquifer, because we're importing all of this water. The other option is, as was mentioned, EPCOR. For anybody who's on the fence, and if you have a well, that should absolutely terrify you. If we don't import water, our only option is going right here under us. It's our aquifer. People are going to say, there's some people that have said that, oh, EPCOR can give us as much water as they want, it's not going to affect the wells up on top of the hill. You know what? I couldn't disagree more. I know for a fact that wells on top of the hill are declining, and that's with the importation of millions of gallons of water every single month. If we lose Scottsdale, that's permanent. We're not getting them back. So when we decide, people who are on the fence, when you decide what you're going to do here, understand that if Scottsdale is cut, our option of bringing in outside water is gone permanently, forever. So then our only option is rolling the dice that our aquifer can maintain our entire community. I personally think, as a water hauler for 20 years, I'm sticking my neck out and I'm going to go way out. We can't do that, okay? So I understand that people don't want a government entity of a Dwid, but it was just mentioned that it's only a government entity that can actually negotiate for these outside waters to get it to the city of Scottsdale so that we can continue business as usual. So it's not just, what is the best option, co-op, Dwid, RWG, blah, blah, blah. It's what are we going to be able to do in the little bit of amount of time that we have left, because once Scottsdale's spigot is cut off, it's done. And we don't actually have until the end of this year, we have until July to let Scottsdale know what we're doing, where we're at, how much water we're going to be able to give them. And because they've been such a great neighbor to us, they're willing to work with us. They're willing to continue supplying our community with water so long as we are putting forth an effort to do what we need to do to secure our water. That should speak volumes to you, that Scottsdale is as comfortable as they are working with this group of volunteers. They've already given us an extension. I mean, we should have been done by now. We should have been cut off December 31st of last year. But because of the efforts of this group, they gave us a continuance. And they've already said, you continue down this path, they're going to give you a continuance. So for everybody on the fence, really that is the most important thing I want those of you to think about. Do you want us to continue importing water, or do you want it to come from the ground? Because there are no other options, okay? And that needs to be made loud and clear. And for me doing this for any form of personal motive, no. I've had people come up to me saying, oh, you're only doing this because you're going to get the exclusive contract with the Dwid. No. From the get-go, once the West Side communities got cut off and groups over here were starting to form and come up with a solution, I have always been from the side, it must be equal and equitable to every single water hauler out here, commercial and otherwise. If another commercial water hauler decides they want to come out here, so be it. Go, yeah, by all means, it's free market, come on in. So I want to make sure that I'm not doing this for anything nefarious. I'm not trying to take over any market. No. This is, if I honestly, truly saw another solution, I'd be all over it. I honestly would. There isn't one out there. There's a lot that's been talked about, but there is no solution other than the Dwid, which is why I'm here supporting them.
Thank you, John. We are going to open it up now to open questions and comments. We have a couple of speakers. Maybe John needs to move that up a little bit over to the left there, or to my left. John Joas is going to man one of the speakers, and Jamie Phillips is going to man the other one. If you have questions or comments, we ask that you please come up to one of these speakers and be on the microphone, so first of all, that everyone can hear you, and that we don't have hecklers calling from the middle of the audience, and we'll try to answer all the questions and listen to all the comments. So if you have questions or comments, please come forward to either John or Jamie, please.
Yeah, my name is Mark Weinhold. I live up on 144th. I'm on a shared well that's approximately 950 feet deep. I'm not a climate denier. I believe in science. I believe you really have a problem. My issue is that if you have a hole in the boat, you clog the hole in the boat, and then you start bailing it out. And what I see is the cart before the horse. The last time we had a supervisor meeting, one of the things that came out was that, I think it's Arizona, not city of Scottsdale, that no building permit can be denied on lack of water. Is that true?
Yeah, in an active management area, no development, which involves multiple subdivisions, but even in an active management area, if the land is divided in 5 or fewer parcels, the requirement for a 100-year water supply is not enforced. It's just, you don't have to prove it.
So that's one of my first issues, is that part of our problem, I believe we have a climate problem, but part of our problem is we're building ourselves into a water shortage. So what about maybe denying some building permits? I don't know about you guys, but I drive around and I see buildings going up and developments going up all over the place. Now, I've only been here 10 years, so I'm like a newbie, but since I've been here, there's been all kinds of development, and yet, okay, we kind of have a gun to our head right now, which, you know, I'm not thrilled about either. I believe we're going to have to do something, but it seems to me government is doing nothing to stop the leak. So what happens?
Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
The other thing is, so you can ponder that. But I just also, it'd be nice to have a flyer. The last time we had the Board of Supervisors meeting, and we asked about costs, what it would cost a month. Am I going to only pay when I need water? Is it a monthly charge? It'd be nice to have a flyer with all these prices and things so we can look at them.
That information is on our website under cost estimates. You can literally print out a PDF that has that. The information I mentioned earlier is in a PDF format on our website. Thank you for mentioning that. We didn't have that out at our meeting today. And we did print about 2,000 pieces of paper, just so you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But the thing is let's say everybody goes for this. Everybody jumps in and all that stuff. Well, if the building keeps on going, we're going to be right back here 10 years from now.
We, as the Dwid volunteers, I think unanimously agree with that situation. And honestly, I can say that we appreciate Mr. Kavanagh, Mr. Representative Kavanagh being here, because that is legislation, you guys, and it doesn't involve one agency. It involves multiple agencies in order to get that legislation through. Us, as the Dwid volunteers, We understand that, and Mr. Kavanagh, that is one of the biggest things that people say, how can you issue a permit when there is no water? And we say, we understand that, we would love to, as team members, be volunteers to go to Mr. Kavanagh and say, hey, let's write a bill, see if it can get passed to stop this action from happening. But we think that water is more important. That's our priority right now, and it's taken a lot of our effort. So we haven't gone there. So, Mr. Kavanagh.
Very quickly, I am one of a number of legislators that believe that nobody should be able to get a building permit on a lot that doesn't have a 100-year water supply. But I could never get that passed. I can never get that passed. The rural interest, developer interest, they killed that bill. I mean, over half the legislators are rural, and then you got others influenced by builders and developers. I mean, we've been trying to pass that for decades, and you can't get it done. I tried to get that rule in Maricopa County, an active management area. They shot it down. The best I could get was a statement on the closing paper, the disclosures, you know, that when the person puts in for the permits, that if he does more than 5 lots and splits it again, you know, it's a crime. And I pulled teeth to get the concession from the committee chair. I would love to do it, I support it, but trust me, you know, Arizona has never had that, and it's going to take a lot more people moving into urban areas that are more concerned about that to override the rural interests. You know, I said I'd tell you the truth, and that's the truth, the sad truth.
I want to ask, are the people lined up against the fence in line to ask questions? Okay, I just want to know where the line is, because we have nobody over here, and we have a whole, okay, great, just keep lining up.
I'll release the mic, but I just want to say, I don't want to be back here 10 years from now because we've built ourselves into another water shortage. So.
Neither do we. Thank you for your comments and questions.
Hi, my name's Tenley Shaw. My husband and I have been living out here for about 1.5 years. We came out here because it's beautiful. We were looking for affordable housing. Before tonight, we realized that the 100-year water supply document that came with from our builder meant nothing. But going into it, a lot of us who are buying homes out here have no idea. We think we're being assured that there's water, and it's unconscionable. You know, I can't believe that a builder can get away with doing something like that and put a lot of us in a very, very difficult position. I come from rural California. Growing up, went through some of the worst drought, you know, not having to shower with buckets and using the buckets to flush the toilet. I've been through it. I know exactly what it's like. And I just think it's terrible. I second that they should not be allowed to build out here until a water supply is found. Having said that, the question that I have is, if you sign up for the Dwid, are we grandfathering in that obligation to someone we sell our home to?
The Dwid, and I thought I mentioned it, but maybe I didn't. You didn't mention it? That's one of the biggest factors, you guys. The parcel owner signs the petition to join the Dwid. It goes with title. You sell your property, you sell your land, you sell your home, you sell your land, it goes to the next owner in perpetuation, so yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm William Bailey, live out on 62nd. I've got a question about the business plan. You mentioned there was a lot on the website. Is the business plan detailed on the website? Because we talked about a lot of things, but I guess I'm very visual, and I'd like to see a plan that says we need this many people. Oh, I'd like to see a plan that says we need this many people putting this much money in because 200 acre feet of water costs this much. Piping that water to the Cap Canal costs this much. We're looking for this source of funding, say from the ADWR and the federal government do fund at a low or no interest rate, I guess, water improvements. I just want to see all the pieces put together. It would make me feel a lot better about it. Is that written up someplace that I can access?
Well, there's going to be twofold to this answer. I'm going to answer some of these things that we've researched and put together in our own documentation, and then I'll have Jeff talk about some other things. But in all of our research, we don't have it documented because what happens is we have to apply. We have to apply, and in order to apply, we've got to be an entity, and we're not an entity yet. So have we talked to WIFA, which is the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority? We have. We've talked to them multiple times. In fact, if we wanted them to come to this meeting, they would have, but I don't know how much information they could give you without us being an actual entity. We also talked to the USDA, and they also would come to our meetings. The gentleman we talked to there, his name is Jeff. But we don't really have the ability to do an application now because we're not an entity. Once we submit our application, we will know if we have grants that we can use, loan forgiveness. We have to submit applications to all these places. We do know what our interest rates are. We do know how long the loans are. The loans for both of those entities are 40 years, and I just literally looked up the interest rates 2 days ago, and the interest rates are currently 2.125. In all of our cost estimates that we've done, we've used a 3.3% interest rate in all of our cost estimates on those 40-year loans. There is one portion, if you want me to go through specifics, there is one portion of there are multiple loans, by the way, in all of this, purchasing the water from the Water Asset Management where we have the water source. That's one loan. And then there's an infrastructure, and EPCOR happens to be building the infrastructure out at the place where we're wanting to purchase water. They do not want to let us buy that in the beginning. They are creating their own financing, and they're charging 8%. That is the only entity that will be paying 8% to, and we don't have a choice because they're the only infrastructure company that is doing the infrastructure out there. And everything else, the USDA and the WIFA are 2.125. WIFA will only loan for infrastructure, and USDA will loan for both infrastructure and water. Did I leave anything out? And then
No, this is good. My understanding was that when you went to the Board of Supervisors to apply, that you had to have a pretty solid business plan, and I understand.
the Board of Supervisors has a copy of our cost estimates.
Okay, is that on the website that?
No, it is not. It is a very intricate, and one of the reasons, and Jeff maybe can comment why we won't post that out there. Because they are cost estimates, and like I mentioned before, our engineers will do a full cost estimate based on all of those things, and that cost estimate is very expensive. So these are cost estimates that have been done for a 5-year period of time based on information we have, and a lot of that isn't firm information. We don't know how much our land is going to cost, but did we give a cost in that cost estimate? Absolutely. And I can tell you just from in my head, the cost estimate for land is $500,000 to $1 million for the piece of land that we're going to build our field station. If you want for instances, I can give you for instances all day long, but they're going to be cost estimates in general. Until we're approved, we cannot verify any of that information.
And I appreciate that you can't verify these things, but at least there are estimates and ranges. And that's the kind of thing that I wanted to see to become comfortable with it.
I would like you mentioned things at prior meetings. If you would like, my number is everywhere. If you have access to my phone number, please give me a call, and I'd like to have a conversation with you if you want to, if it makes you feel comfortable.
Okay.
Absolutely. Jeff, do you want to mention anything else?
You know, just very briefly, there's been a lot of homework that's been done on this Dwid by the folks that are sitting at this table. I've been involved in Dwid formation. I've been around utilities my entire legal career. And the estimates that they've come up with are, they're higher level estimates, but they're sufficient for purposes of doing the feasibility to know that this will work. So we have talked, for example, to an engineering firm about what it would cost to build the pipeline, the standpipe, the storage tank, the fence. Jennifer talked about the land cost. We've talked about those enough to get a good ballpark figure for purposes of determining what costs are, but until the Dwid, and unless the Dwid is formed,
that's the point in time when we go to the engineering firm and then we sign a contract and we pay them the $50,000 or whatever it is to do it, the actual design work, so that we have figures that are very specific so we know exactly what the costs are. But again, there's the board or the potential board members that are up here have looked at all of the different costs that go into this district. They've determined ballpark costs for all of that in terms of coming up with the figures that Jennifer gave you earlier about the annual, the initial buy-in cost, the estimated annual assessment, and then the cost per 1,000 gallons of water. That could move up a little bit, 10 or 20%, maybe one way or the other, but it's not going to be an order of magnitude off. It's going to be in the ballpark.
And I just want to add, I know you got other questions. I just want to add, those cost estimates are super, super duper conservative. They do not include any loan forgiveness from those entities I mentioned getting loans from. They do not include any grants. There's also the federal infrastructure bill that just passed, which we know there are billions of dollars available. So it doesn't include any of that. So our loans could be maybe zero. I have no idea until we apply. Wouldn't that be great? Hallelujah. But also I wanted to mention, which I may not have mentioned earlier, none of our cost estimates include property tax. We are not including property tax. We want to do this with just the cost of water. If we form and we have our first meeting and our members say, I want you to charge me property tax, I don't want to do it in the cost of water, I want my cost of water to be cheaper, we'll look at that. But I think that the majority of people would want less property tax and just pay it in the cost of water. So that's how we based it, no property tax added to your property bill. Okay, next question.
Hello, pretty simple question here. Common sense, the next best step. So the next step is how do we get Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to make a decision, either one way or the other. So that's where we are, the next step. So all this other stuff, we've got a lot of work that's been put into this. The next best step is getting some action from the Board of Supervisors, and it's probably going to take people here writing some letters or doing something. And some of the people who left wanted to give a special thank you to Kavanagh for his fine presence here, and Thomas Galvin, I wish you were here. Next best step. Let's take one step today.
Right, and the Supervisor Galvin was invited a couple of weeks ago to the meeting. We've had a call with Supervisor Galvin. He says he's looking at the issue. He's trying to get up to speed. But honestly, what we told the supervisor is, look, we spent all of last year waiting for Supervisor Chukri to get up to speed. I mean, we're out of time. We've got a shot clock on this that's running down for us to be able to get something done. And the county seems to just want to kick this down the road. I think they're worried that it's a political decision that's going to make some people mad. I will tell you this about the district. This district will work. This is a viable option. Now, could there be a better option? We haven't seen it brought forward. If someone can bring forward a better option, we'll all obviously consider that. But I'm telling you that this is a sound plan that will work, and given the time limit we're operating under, we're moving forward with this. So back to the Board of Supervisors, all we can do is apply political pressure for them to try to bring this to a vote. And so letter writing, emails, phone calls.
Can we organize a group letter? If you would have somebody organize a group letter and get people to send it in various forms, that would be a step. We can't just talk about it. We actually need to actually
We have actually done that. If you're not on our email list, you need to get on our email list.
We need to do it again, though.
Yeah.
And I've done it already.
You have done it already.
We need
Absolutely.
to write it in. I think we need to be organized writing it in. That will get more attention.
So I have like 15 different versions of what we're going to start sending out to you guys after this meeting. So we sent out 1 or 2 options of what we're going to send, trying to get this meeting going, and then we are going to send out to everyone. I mean, call every day. We will give phone scripts again after this meeting, and then we'll continue each week to give new talking points and new things that you can send, or you can send your own letters. I also encourage you, reach out to the media. The best way to get politicians going is, I'm calling them weekly, more than that actually, but it can come from you guys too. So, call your favorite radio station, TV station, your favorite reporter you listen to, and tell them you live out here, you want to talk to them. They're happy to talk to you, and that is as much pressure as we can possibly do is calling media and then calling every single day. We will, after this meeting, provide new scripts and phone numbers and everything, so that is something that we will be doing on a weekly basis until we get what we need.
How's it going? My name is Kyle Bailey. Me and my mom own 2 homes over off 168. And I just wanted to say, my name's Kyle Bailey. Me and my mom own 2 homes off of 168th Street. I just want to say I support John and Rio Verde Water, and I support John Kavanagh. And I wanted to touch on what Mark said. Is there any way that we could pass any legislation to stop the splitting of parcels below like an acre, so we could stop all the homes coming in and build? That way we don't have all the water problems, and we're not going to be back here in 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, I absolutely support that, but as I said before, the rural interest and developers have the majority of the votes, not only on the floor, but they have the majority, but most of the committee chairs and on committees that have to hear those bills, and a committee chair can decide to hear a bill or not hear a bill, they almost always wind up being rural community members because they're natural resource committees and agriculture committees, and they just kill the bills. I mean, I'll keep trying, but you know, Arizona's in this mess because they wrote the rules, and the rules are to benefit them, not somebody like you who, you know, maybe comes from an area where that's more civilized and doesn't let people sell waterless lots.
Well, it just seems that the problem is basically we're going to squeeze this sponge and keep filling all the gaps, and then there's going to be more gaps and more gaps. And that's, we got a solution right now, but again, this is not a full-on solution. We're going to be back here again, especially with Morgan Taylor, everybody building. There's another development down the street. There's another development by Tom's Thumb. I mean, at one point, we got to see what's putting the hole in the boat before we cap it off. So.
Yeah. Hi there. My name, can everybody hear me? My name is Elon Dahan. I live on 52nd Street. I just have a question for Mr. Jeff and Mr. Galvin. Can we just go over this list and then answer? You guys can just answer everything on the list, and that'll answer a lot of people's questions. Can we just do that?
How many questions are we talking about? We have
whatever's on this list.
We have
right here.
okay. That's fine. You can go over several questions if you want to, and we can answer them.
No, if you guys would just read it out, the legal department right here, and then just answer.
Okay, no,
what
I
each
would
one
like you
said.
to ask a specific question so we can answer that, because not everyone has that information there. Just go ahead and ask the question, and we'll answer the question. You have it in front of you. Go ahead and ask the question.
There's a whole sheet of it.
I understand that, but go ahead and ask the question so everyone can hear.
I would just like you guys to go through it.
We're not going to go through that form. That is not our form. But if you want to ask the questions, we'll absolutely.
Why don't we just go through both?
You ask the questions, and we'll go ahead and answer them. I am not going to go through that whole sheet. We won't do that. But if you want to ask the questions that are on there, we'll answer them. We're just not going to spend 30 minutes doing it. Go to the microphone and go ahead and ask the questions. I will absolutely answer whatever you want to ask.
I'd like to get them all answered, is really what I'd like. We answered. Or I think, does anybody else out here like to get them answered?
Ask a specific question and we'll answer the specific question.
Well, I'll start with the first one. The next person can come up if they want to know about these. So, signing the Dwid petition constitutes a binding obligation. Is this the legal contract
Not anymore.
that will apply to your property?
Yeah, I mean, when you sign a petition, your property will be included within the Dwid if the County Board of Supervisors votes to form the Dwid. So to that extent, it is binding on you unless you rescind your petition, your signature on the petition before the board approves the boundaries of the Dwid.
If you're not a part of the Dwid, does your property get affected by anything that the Dwid creates?
Not one bit. So if you picture in your mind a checkerboard, that's what we're talking about. Most domestic water improvement districts that have been formed, and they're throughout the state of Arizona, but you draw a boundary and everything inside the district is in the Dwid. And to form a Dwid, you have to have, in that situation, you have to have 51% of the landowners and 51% of the land mass that supports the formation of the Dwid. This is very different here. What Rio Verde is proposing here is different. It is a non-contiguous Dwid. So only those parcels of land whose landowners have signed the petition will be included within the boundaries of the district. So it will look like a checkerboard. And if you're not in the district, you won't be subject to anything the district can do. There's no ability to tax your property, and as Jennifer mentioned, at least this group of petitioners doesn't have a plan at this point. It's not their intention to propose property taxes to fund the infrastructure and the water. But if you're outside the boundaries of the Dwid, there's no ability to tax your property. There's no regulation that will apply to your property. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's basically the biggest question I had. That's the biggest question I had.
Okay, and I, it's a fair question, but I know there's been concern out there. But as I mentioned, the traditional Dwid you'd have a vote of 51% of the landowners. We will have 100% support of those that are included in the Dwid, because you will only be included in the Dwid if you've signed the petition. So now, what about people that don't sign the petition right now? Their land won't be included in the Dwid. Later on, if they want to be included in the Dwid, they can petition to have their property included, and I think there will probably be periodically where... Annually, yeah. The board of directors will consider petitions to include new property in the Dwid. But in terms of the initial formation of the Dwid, it will only be the people that have signed on the petition, which right now I think we're probably north of 520 landowners that have signed the petition to be in the Dwid.
So that can't change in the future as to incorporate the people that haven't signed the Dwid to be in the Dwid.
There's no way for us to force anyone in.
Correct.
Ever.
Nor get taxed.
Never.
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 Nor stop drilling a well on a
Never.
Never.
We have no right to tell you what you can do with your property.
That's fair.
Hi, my name is Cindy Mikulecki, and I live on 174th, and I think you just pretty much answered my question, and I just wanted to thank all of you for all the efforts and everything that you've done for us. One of the questions I have is there a cutoff date as far as signing the petition?
Yeah, before we go in front of the Board of Supervisors, we've got to get scheduled on their agenda for a vote. We can submit petition signatures up until the point where the Board of Supervisors votes on the district. It would have to be done a few days prior to the actual vote, but we've got time to add signatures up until that time. Once the board votes at their county board meeting, if they vote to approve the Dwid, whoever is signed the petition will be in at that time. Whoever has not signed the petition will be out. And again, they'd have to wait till maybe a year later to petition to be included in the district. But we will be continuing, hopefully we'll be close to 600 by the time we get in front of the county.
And I'll add to that, because a lot of people say, well, what if I don't get in and you guys get approved and I miss my chance and I have to wait a year? So we are going to do this annually for the reasons that Jeff mentioned, that you have to petition to get into the district. Maps are included, the county assessor has to do all kinds of things. You basically have to go through the same process all over again. In that annual petition period, so if there's brand new homeowners or people who didn't get in initially, there will be, say, a monthly fee. You want to sign the petition, we'll let you sign the petition. Say there's 4 months until the annual enrollment, right? There's 4 months until the annual enrollment. I'm just bringing dollar amounts out of my head here. So say we make non-members who've signed the petition pay a $100 fee per month, plus whatever they pay for their cost of water and stuff like that. That $100 you pay for that 4 months prior to that annual enrollment will be part of the credit toward your establishment fee. which is right now $1,000. And every year after, it will at least go up a couple $100 for the first year because we have that annual fee, which is $192. So you have to meet at least what the initial people paid, who paid for the infrastructure already. But we're not going to cheat people who are, coming in after the fact.
Okay, but I guess my question is so if you don't sign up with the Dwid, you have to wait a year then?
That is correct, because
Okay.
once we're approved, those people that are in, like Jeff said, are in, and those people who did not sign up are not in. You'll have to wait till that next annual enrollment, yes.
Right. So will we get the date as far as what the last date will be?
I think it will be maybe to the year within a day or a week of when we're actually approved.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
My name's John Todd. I live on 148th Street. My question is, for the cost projections that you have outlined tonight, the $1,000 membership fee and the $192 a year, how many members is that predicated on?
It's not predicated on any particular quantity of members. We need capital to show the banks and WIFA and USDA that we are secure in what we're doing and that we have a plan. And so that $1,000 establishment fee is to put money in the bank and provide costs like the engineering, the $30,000 or the $50,000, plus anything that has to be done prior to those loans being approved. It is to show the bank that we're serious and that we have people out here that really want this to happen.
So then the numbers really don't mean anything then?
They mean a whole heck of a lot. Banks don't just loan you money for nothing. I mean, WIFA and USDA aren't going to say, oh yeah, you have 500 people who sign a petition and they're going to pay, $100 a year or $200 a year. They're going to want a plan, and that is our capital plan.
Well, if your capital plan is predicated on X number of dollars for total costs, you have to divide that by the number of members to determine how much the membership fee and the monthly fees would be.
I can tell you right now that we did those cost estimates based on our 176 and our when we initially did that. We have not touched our cost estimates since the 176. So we planned on buying 200 acre feet of water with our 176 petitioners in the very beginning in February. Now we have 520. If we go before the Board of Supervisors and we're approved, we go back to those numbers and now we have 520 people. Guess what? That establishment fee is probably going to be a lot less.
So then the answer to my original question was it was predicated on 176
There are
members.
multiple factors, so the establishment fee could be lower, the cost for water per 1,000 gallons could be lower, lots of things could be lower.
Hi, my name is Lee Averill. Newer last name for me. I'm a retired engineer, but I had an add-on degree because of where I worked. They asked to get more people that had a meteorology background, so I got a 2-year add-on degree from Mississippi State University. My husband and I live gloriously and happily up off of 176th, below Lone Mountain somewhat. But we're in a pocket of homes that the wells have gone dry. Ours was built in 2007, and the closest wells, 500, 600 feet, went dry many years ago. There are several wells that have been drilled, but about 1/8 of a mile in either direction from us, 800 feet and 1,000 feet was required. 1,000 feet well was lucky to hit water, and from what I hear, out here the aquifer is fingered, so you're not necessarily, if you're going to drill 1,000 feet well, going to hit water, but if you do, if you're lucky, you'll hit water, but it will have arsenic. And so that's really a tough thing, especially for those of us with grandchildren and other pets and horses and everything else that goes with. In my heart of hearts, as a meteorologist, quasi, I know that bringing in water from an outside source, that we, the community, not EPCOR, not Global, we, the community, control. We are not going to be subject to EPCOR's profit of 171 million in 2020, and probably a lot more, just like APS and SRP, which I know Representative Kavanagh works with sometimes when you have to. It's mainly the Arizona Corporation Commission. They make money off of us. That's the reason that we need whatever it takes, however it takes us to talk to each other and get down to business now. Amen. As of 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, we have 200 days to get all of these pieces in line, in contract. We have to get that parcel out at Harquahala Valley. We've got to get that contract with EPCOR out there and not here. We need to get into the CAP, the Colorado, Arizona project, and we need to get that water wheelhouse to the city of Scottsdale, and we need to build that station so that we can send people like John or any other water truck up to get our water. We don't need any of this other stuff. I don't want Global or EPCOR to be coming in and drilling holes into our aquifer because it's ours to protect. Now, what I'm suggesting, obviously, off the top, we're going to have a board. Those board members will be re-elected or other people come in. What I recommend is that we have that 5-member board be made up of 2 well owners and 2 hauled water owners, and the 5th person be a scientist who will protect and talk to everyone about what we need to do to protect our aquifer. Nobody gets in it. But we need to sign up. We need to get this thing rolling because this is our best bet. We've only got 200 days before the city of Scottsdale puts in its order for the CAP. And if we miss that train, we are SOL. Does everybody understand that? If anybody has any questions, climatologically or meteorologically, I'm happy to show you all of the things that I brought. But I think that all of us really know now, we are in a drought that we have not seen for centuries. We're 22 years. And they just met the Bureau of Reclamation in Washington with Senator Mark Kelly yesterday, as well as several others. And they're talking about Powell. They're talking about 33 feet only left at Lake Powell. They're looking at Dead Pool as well. Now, we don't depend on Powell, we depend on Lake Mead. And Mead is going down. And we've got to do what we can to secure those parcels because they are becoming more and more finite. And those parcels will be gone. If we don't get our keisters in gear and get those parcels at the Harquahala Valley and get that water in here, that's about all that I can really put forth. Other than thank you for being here.
You should have started the meeting.
My name is Sean Roberts, and I didn't catch her name, but she reminded me of saying we have in Montana, where I'm originally from, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. And she's going to fight for water rights.
Hear, hear.
Hypothetical, if you have a good well, there's no reason to join the Dwid right now unless you think your well may go dry sometime in the future.
That is a valid statement. I just want to say that we have several well owners who've signed the petition as an insurance policy.
Okay.
And
they're going to be obligated to pay the fees.
Yep.
And
They will.
Okay.
They don't have to buy the water, but they'll be obligated to pay the establishment fee and the annual fee. Yes.
Okay. And in the event that a good producing well that has great history in 10 years does go dry, can that property owner call somebody and have water hauled in without joining the Dwid, an emergency situation, or until they can join the Dwid, or?
Yes, we will have water available for non-members. We'll have water available for fires, everybody. The fire department can get water from us. Yes, we'll have that water available. It will just cost them more because they're non-members, is all.
Okay, and same thing, if a new property owner comes in, they buy a piece of property that was not part of the Dwid, they can temporarily buy water until they can join.
That is exactly right. You're exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
So I've lived out here for 25 years. I witched my well. We get 7.5 gallons a minute. We have 21 horses with us during the winter. I wouldn't even think twice about not getting on the petition for the Dwid. How do I know how long that well is going to ask? It is the cheapest insurance I could possibly buy. $1,000 and $16 a month. As a well owner, I think you're nuts not to sign that petition. The way that wells are, we have 3 wells going in within probably a quarter mile of us. How many wells is it going to take before my well finally goes empty? It's the cheapest insurance you can possibly get.
I didn't want to cut in front of you people if I did, but we had an interesting comment from a large rancher out here with more barns. I mean, if I could just die right on his property, I'd be happy. That kind of a facility. His concern, he's got this fabulous well. He's got 2 fabulous wells. But his concern is, what if not his well goes dry, but something mechanical happens to that well? And you know how it is to get parts nowadays? Might be 2-3 days. He said, what would happen with my horses if I could not provide them water? If a hauler can't bring water to my tank, what do? That's why he is signing up. Not because he wants the Dwid so much, as he's looking at that he can keep his horses watered if there's something mechanical, not just the water. So that's another thing to think about.
Hello, I'm Dale Minks. I live on 172nd. And thank you, Lee, for what you brought up. Thank you, everyone, for being here. My concern in all of this is if you're asking me to sign my name, and I don't know how much it's going to cost me, and I don't know how much it's going to cost me in the future, and I really don't know the power of what the Dwid is going to be about, because it's seemingly out there, but it's not out there. What am I signing up for? I agree I need water. I don't mind paying extra for water because I need it. I have horses, I have a family. I don't want to see anyone's rights taken away from them. And I don't see anything here that tells me that that won't happen. And I don't have anything that really entices me to sign my name to something that I don't know how much it's going to cost me. If any of us were going to have a house bill, to buy a vehicle, or anything, we would want to know the cost. We wouldn't just sign our name and say, okay, send me the bill. And that's my concern as far as signing up. So I just want to express that. So I'm on the fence. I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm not going to say do it. I'm going to say why should I do it, other than the fact that I need water. I don't know how much it's going to cost me.
Yeah, that's a fair question. We know that the access to water is going to come to an end at the end of this year. So we need to do something. If you don't have a well, you need to do something. As I mentioned earlier, Dwids have been formed all around the state. We're following the same process that they all follow. Just the nature of forming a Dwid, you don't have hard numbers until the county forms the Dwid. And so what we can provide is these estimates, which we've done. You can look at those. I think that these volunteers will be happy to sit down and answer a lot of questions to try to get you comfortable that they've thought about all the things that go into the numbers. But as Jennifer was mentioning earlier, I mean, part of this, we'll end up applying for grant money. So we may get some grant money to pay for this. We don't know. We may get loans, part of which may be forgiven. There's a lot of moving parts to this, so the exact costs are hard to know. They've come up with a good faith estimate on what they think the costs are going to be. I think you're just going to have to do your due diligence, look at what they've done, see if it looks right to you, if you're comfortable with that. Because, you know, once you sign your name to the petition, as we've said earlier, once that district is formed, you're in the district. And you know, you'll be subject to whatever the assessments are that the district imposes. But given what the options, and that's been one of the frustrating things I think for these folks as they've gone through this, you know, we've had people that have thrown stones at what we're doing here, but we've not seen a better plan that's been brought forward. This is a plan, as I said earlier, we know it will work. We don't, you know, we may not know the cost down to the penny at this point, but we've got a high-level good faith estimate on what they would be, and you're just going to have to make the best judgment and decision you can based on that information.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I can understand the cost, okay? Set the cost aside, all right? We don't know how much it's going to cost, but it's going to cost us something. But the other side of it is the power of the Dwid. Everyone can say they're going to do this or not do this or whatever. If we could just get some kind of plan formulated so that I could feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if I could get that side.
Yeah, let me speak to that for a minute. You know, there's been, I think, some comments out there, and I kind of am sympathetic to these kind of comments about big government and, you know, big brother. But this is self-rule at the lowest, I mean, at the lowest level you're going to get. The county will form this district and they will approve an initial board of directors, but those will be people that live within the Dwid. They're your neighbors. And there's an opportunity for everyone in the Dwid to run for office and to be elected to the board. So if you're not happy with the way the Dwid is being managed, you have a direct ability to affect the management of the district by your vote, you and your neighbors. So there's no, and you know, your comments about EPCOR coming in, EPCOR is a for-profit corporation, and the Dwid is a non-profit corporation, and it doesn't pay taxes either on top of that. It's a tax-exempt entity. So there's a savings on taxes, you don't have the profit component built in, so you're going to pay less for your water than if you're going to bring someone else in. And you have the ability to directly influence. For example, if EPCOR is your water provider, and this is what I do for a living, I represent companies down at the Arizona Corporation Commission. You know, if EPCOR is your provider, you have to go to the Arizona Corporation Commission and complain to them and try to get them to do something about it. If you're unhappy with how your water company's being run, it's your neighbor that is doing it, and you talk to your neighbor or you vote them out the next time around and you support someone that'll do it better. So that would be my response to the kind of the regulation and the oversight.
Okay, so thank you for that. So the last thing I want to say is that if there is another alternative, I would appreciate it if someone would stand up and throw it out there and do their diligence so that we can make a decision. I keep seeing all these things out there that say, yes, there's alternatives. Well, where are they? If we have this amount of time and we don't have time to waste, then quit playing games with this thing. Let's throw it out on the table and let's make a decision. That's how we're going to solve this thing, is making a decision based on everything that we know. And John, thank you for your efforts. I buy water from you. You got a great company. And I said I was going to be here, and here I am. So I'm just looking for some answers so that I can make the right decision.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for all of your questions. Thank you for coming. If you have further questions you want to investigate, feel free to call myself or Karen, and our numbers are pretty much everywhere. So no hesitate to call us.
So I just want to take a minute to acknowledge, having been one who was involved in the research to establish a long-term secure source of water that began in 2014. I just want to speak to the extraordinarily high confidence I have in this group of people and the work that they have done since 2018. And I recruited these people, most of them, to
You
participate
did. You
in this.
recruited both of the leaders that are the leaders of this group.
Including John here. You cannot even imagine the amount of work that has gone into this. It is easy to just sort of throw it off and say, well, it doesn't matter, I don't like it, or whatever reason you have to not be paying attention to this. Lee made a major case for why it has to happen now. And I want to build on what Dale said about the fact that, and Jeff said about, we are the Dwid. If we form, we establish it, we own it. Your admin board does not have the authority you do as a voter member in the organization. Now that's authority. That's accountability. The reason we're in the mess we are in this country is because we don't want to do it ourselves. Let somebody else do this for me. So I can't encourage more strongly that you support this by signing the petition and being a part of the group in this community that establishes our ownership of water.
I think we're done with the line. Is there anybody who didn't want to stand up and get in line that has a question? Please raise your hand. I think we're a small enough group now that we can do this. Oh, here we go. Oh, we got one more. Wait, we got one more at the mic and then we'll go to the audience. Go ahead.
I'm Bob. So there's a saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Whatever we have to pay monthly or annually for the Dwid, so do the members of the board. They're not getting any discount. We're all in it together, and let's just keep pushing and solve this problem. I'm up for election soon.
Are we done with our line? All right, we have, go ahead and stand up and we'll read.
Quoted a cost of $10 per 1,000 gallons. Is that what someone like John would pay for the water, and then he gets costs for hauling and so forth on top of that?
That is correct. So in order to do apples to apples cost comparisons, every water hauler, commercial I should say, individual water haulers are out there too, but every commercial water hauler charges differently. John charges per gallon. The other water haulers charge per load. I mean, and you may not get the full load of 4,000 gallons. So it's hard for us to determine what their prices will be. Their job is transportation, right? They transport water. So all we can do is give you the cost per 1,000 gallons of water. And I think we're pretty good at comparing to a water entity out in the West Valley that Jeff mentioned earlier, Desert Hills and New River. We're actually under that. And theirs doesn't even include buying water, transporting water, building a fill station, or any of that. So I think we're very, very comparable to what's out there that exists for our kind of district.
Just one follow-up. Has anyone looked into what will happen to the hauler's costs as a result of this bid?
John Hornor, did you hear that question?
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that question?
John, I'm Jim Kelly. I'm one of your customers. And my question was, how does the Dwid and what we talked about affect the cost to the user?
Okay,
all water?
So basically what I'm going to do, as you heard, the cost of the water. Okay, so what you heard is that the estimated cost of the water is going to be about $10 per 1,000 gallons. Well, right now, with Global Water, I'm paying right around $10 per 1,000 gallons. City of Scottsdale is about 6.5 cents per 1,000. So the way I'm going to work it into my billing is, it's not like if my hard costs goes up 100%, all of a sudden the water bill goes up 100%. I'm going to take that actual hard cost of increase of water and just tack it onto the bill. Okay, my business is I don't sell water, I sell time. My business is very much a time-based business. So everything else should essentially stay the same. The little increase in water will be added on, but then think about if we get the fill station closer to our community, well, that's going to offset some of the costs. So yeah, this is not something where you're looking at a 300-400% increase of water, not even remotely.
Kind of like a fuel surcharge, like
Exactly.
when the gas prices spike up, they charge you an extra whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I do. Mine's a very personal question.
So you want to do it individually?
Yeah, it is kind of.
Is there anybody else out in the audience that doesn't want to stand up but that has a question? Raise your hand if you have a question, anybody?
I just want to add one thing, and I feel like it's too late, and we should have said this sooner when everybody was here, but you can pass it along to all of your friends. But I do want to thank, we've got Carmela here and Annie, and they started this so long ago with the foresight of what is best for our community and what is best for everybody in this room. And they've put themselves out there, and I'm sure if you guys are on social media, not a huge fan
They're
of
still
it,
putting
but
themselves out there on social media.
everybody is putting themselves out there, and I'll tell you, it is really, really hard. And it is really hard when what you're so passionate about is doing what's best for the community and taking care of your neighbors. And I'm just gonna say I'm so proud of everyone who's put themselves out there. I appreciate everybody who's stood up for them and stood by them, because put yourself in their shoes. It's not easy. It's not easy to stand up in front of everyone here and share this when everybody's passionate and everybody's scared, and this is very stressful. So I just wanted to thank them. We meant to do it earlier and we lost track of that, but I wanted to thank both of them so much for everything that they've done. And then I came in late in this game. This whole team up here has done a tremendous amount, hours and hours and hours of work and their due diligence. And I'll tell you, it's amazing. The more time I spend with them, the more I'm just so proud to get to know them and work with them and completely trust them that they're doing what's best for our neighborhood. So I just wanted to add that in.
Thank you, Meredith. And I just want to say one last thank you for Representative Kavanagh for coming all the way out here tonight. We really, really, really appreciate his support. Thank you, everybody. I think that's it. Oh, you have a question? Do you want to do it individually or on? Okay.
Shared well situation. What if we sign the petition and nobody else signs the petition? So